Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to this special Farbrengen. What is this? The second time? Third. Wow. It's a very weird, Farbrengen. But on the one hand, it's like inspirational, just before Rosh Hashana, and it sort of stops people from their grind or Rosh Hashana running around. But it's, in a certain sense, not for the best occasion. But so I guess it's a beautiful way to celebrate it. It's a very mixed bag of emotions. But yeah, so this Farbrengen is sponsored by Hashana Esther and also really organized. Lulu Nishmas Rivka Bas Avram Al Mashon Hamala unfortunately passed away. But Mitzvah Hashem, with the Farbrengen, and we gain inspiration and all the good things. So I'm sure she'll be very happy and proud. Yes. Yes. I heard today, before we start the Farbrengen, I was listening to some shirim. We say, and I don't think I ever realized this, when we say in davening on Rosh Hashana, we say Hamelech. So normally we say during the year, we say Hamelech Hayoshev, the king that sits. But in Rosh Hashana we say Hamelech Yoshev, the king sits. So there's a famous story brought down in the Machzor from Rabbi Aaron Karlino, that he was chazan by the Magid. I told him to go chazan. I think that's how it went. And he started saying this, and he fainted. When they revived him, they said, "What happened?" And he said the whole story that comes from Safta Gittin, that I think it was Yochanan, that he came to the Stabian, that was like the general, the Greek army, and he said to him, "Your Your Majesty." He said, "Your Majesty, I'm the general, so you deserve to be killed for going against the king. And he said, if I'm the Majesty, why don't you come till now? And if I'm not, then why are you saying this?" So he thought about it. When he said, "Melech Yeshu, the king is sitting here, and the king is saying," so he thought to himself, "The king's here, and where have I been?" So he fainted. That was something. What did you say? Can't remember. It doesn't remind me of that. Oh, that you said that. I said she will get nachas. He said she is. Anyway, that was besides. I hope we didn't lose everyone already.
What?
No.
Okay, so the title of the Farbrengen was "Drop the Baggage."
Okay. I just wanted something.
It's heavy. We all have baggage. Saying, yeah, this is what it is. I'm saying I'm not. I think this is more for me than for you guys. We all have the baggage when we come, and sort of the goal, the goal of the Farbrengen is to be able to hopefully get us to a place when we come to Rosh Hashana. We don't have a lot of baggage, and we come as free, happy, excited people. Of course, with the seriousness of Rosh Hashana, but in a good light. That's the goal. And hopefully, we'll achieve it. So the story goes like this. It was a few years ago. It's a very funny story. A few years ago, it was Sukkot time, Tishrei nights. I said to myself, every day, it's Sukkot, you have sort of a choice. You either stay up late and you wake up late, or you go to bed early, miss out on the dancing, but you can come on time, have a normal day. So I said, I'm going to be like a chacham. I'm going to make sure to get up on time. But if 770 these days, if you get up on time, you're late, and you get stuck with the crowd. So whatever you want to do, the crowd's going to be doing. So I said, I'm going to be a chacham, and I'm going to get up even earlier, and I'll be ahead of the game. So basically, I got up, the main minyan is 10 o'clock. So I got up maybe 7:30. I got to the mikveh at 8 when everyone was 8:30. So I was good. Then I came to the special of an esrog in the sukkah. It was empty, and there was coffee and there was space. And then when everyone started coming there, I went to the 770 to find a place. And it was perfect. No one was there yet. And everyone was just behind me. And at 9:30, I was sitting in my place. I was longing a little bit, and I was good. I said, I did it. And it felt really good. And I davened, and I did everything. I ticked off all my boxes, and it was great. You can imagine I'm pretty exhausted at this point. But I'm walking home. All my kids, the whole family's asleep, and I'm walking home. Everyone's still like walking 7-7. I'm already gone. I'm like, I did it. And as I'm walking, some Israeli older guy. I remember. I think it was on like Carol Kingston. He looks at me. I didn't pay attention to him, and he goes to me, "Hey, like, where's your smile?" And I was like, what the hell is this guy? Like, who are you? What are you talking about? Like, he caught me by surprise, and I kept on walking. But as I was walking, I was thinking about this. Like, what's this guy? Like, what's this? He don't even know me. Like, he's judging me. But then I thought to myself, everything is about shachar pratis, and Hashem must be orchestrating this. And so I said, probably Hashem is telling me this. Well, yeah. Where's your smile? And I think what the message I was getting was I try to do all the right things. I ticked all the boxes. I made sure to do everything that I should do, that I feel that makes me good and I'm happy. I did it. But this guy was reminding me, you can tick all the boxes, but you could still miss it. You missed the point. And you have to be, point one, you're saying, why aren't you happy? He didn't know if I was really happy or not, but it's not really him, it's Hashem. And Hashem was telling me, you did all this thing, but are you happy? And I think this is I like the story because it happened to me and it was like very eye-opening, but it's a constant reminder that, we have a mitzvah, if there's Hashem b'simcha. The famous story that
My plate.
I guess the reason why I bring up the story is because, like we were talking about in the beginning, when we come to Rosh Hashana, we have a lot of baggage within ourselves and baggage with God. And so you come, I think most of us, when you come to Rosh Hashana and you daven and you hear good songs and it's good and it's enjoyable, and you might have like this feeling like, yeah, it's good. But coming into it, it's hard. And then when you're there, you're sort of struggling.
8:30.
Like, I meant to think this way, but I have my problems with God this way. Another year going by, whatever. My job, I didn't have the job that I wanted. Shidduch, I didn't have what I wanted. The money, my kids, all the issues. We go and we sit there in Rosh Hashanah and we struggle with this. And I think it in a certain sense, it is part of Rosh Hashanah, but also if we don't have it in the right frame, it diminishes. So there's a famous story that the Rosh from California. Everyone know who the Rosh from California is? No one heard of him? Rosh, sorry.
But
They're gluten-free.
Australian accent. Anyone know who he is? Who is he? Yeah, exactly. He's the Rosh Yeshiva, one of the Shachats, the famous family. He's a feisty guy. I've been in the Yeshiva for a little bit. Happened to be there. He's very funny. He's very heartsick. Like he really means it. He's a funny guy, and he cries a lot. Happens to be. He's a rough cookie. When I was there, I'll never forget this. He was walking. I went there. It was during Elul, and he'd smoked a cigarette. Like he smoked a lot. His voice, you can hear it on it as well. And he grabbed the kids, like one of the Bachram's cup of soda that was finished, like the can, and he walked around the can with ash into the can. And he walked around, and he was like, in a certain sense, he was rough, but you could see he cared. That's what I've heard the message that people got. Like whatever. Anyway, the story is like this: when he was, I don't think he was always Lubavitch. I think he was Litvish. He became the Kav Lubavitch.
Mayor, yeah.
And he came to Yechidus by the Rebbe. And he went to Tzetzel, you go to Yechidus, the way it worked, just knowledge that the day of the Yechidus, you spend most of the day just writing your Tzetzel. Your Tzetzel is your note you give to the Rebbe. You write in a note and you give it to him. You don't talk unless you're asked. Some people not even then. But also it's overwhelming. So you spend the whole day thinking, what my 5 minutes, if that, with the Rebbe, what is it I want to discuss? What I want to tell him, what I want to share, what advice I want to get. So you spend a lot of the day writing it, rewriting, and thinking.
talking to
So he comes in and he gives the Rabbi his
That's
letter.
right.
Weiss.
The Rebbe reads it, the Rebbe answers everything. The Rebbe
Hasidas.
says to him, do you have anything else you want to ask?
Malka's, no.
It's
I
not
don't remember if
related
the
to.
Rebbe said it or he explained it, but he was saying,
This
the
is
Rebbe had things he wanted to talk to me about, but he first
Michal.
wanted to finish my things, then we'll go to the Rebbe's things.
That's Michal's husband.
Uh-huh.
He's thinking, it's like the Rebbe's asking, something's going on, and so he's like in his head, he's running. He's like, oh, what the Rebbe wants me, I don't know. So he's like,
On Zoom or?
She
the
said
Rebbe
me.
says again, like, is there anything else you want to ask about? And he goes like a second and a third time, and he's like destroyed. He's like, what's going on? And I don't know how it happened, but I heard him say the story again recently. It's like 80th birthday or something. The way he said it there was like he just blurted it out. So I'm not sure if he was like he was too scared to ask. It seemed like it wasn't. So he blurted out. He said, "How do I do tshuva?" And he started bawling, started crying his eyes out. So the Rebbe smiled with a big smile, and he said, "I can see it's not going to be through simcha." And he said, like he had an 80th birthday recently, and he said, I'm still trying to do this. I don't know how to do this. Maybe you guys can help me. But it's, I heard this story many times, but it's such a weird story in the beginning, like tshuva with simcha, like
Once in a while I have tomato.
tshuva is like I'm bringing up all the baggage and I'm opening it up and I'm talking about it. Why would that be b'simcha? But again, I think this is a good reminder for ourselves that we're going through this, Sarah made tshuva. We have to take this message, we'll make sure it's b'simcha. Also, if anyone has any questions or comments. No, chas v'shalom.
Rather than focus on everything that's wrong, we focus on the relationship and on like, hey, now I have this opportunity. So I guess that can really help have that take a little bit of some time. Now.
So you're saying, like you try to interpret it, it's very good. That the simcha aspect of it is, I'm happy that I have the opportunity to do it. Yeah.
Sort of like learning that that's where you're at. And that's the apologize. That's like, what's the whole point of this? The whole point is the whole point of our relationship. And that I focus on the details of the mistakes I made, but then that's still focused on me.
Explain that again. It's good. That was good.
I could like enumerate all the things I did wrong with Tishrei, and then if I then spent the meditation and discuss about what did I do wrong, what did I not do, how did I end up here?
Why Michal is not in the
I'm here. And how do I
Because class. Is
Yeah, very good, exactly. It says, I don't know where the Tanya is, in the back somewhere, but it's my favorite line.
the woman and
It says in the end of Perek Chav Vav, it's all
yeah.
about like
It's a good
sadness
thing.
and depression, how to get rid of it. He says,
That's
even
not
if
started today.
you've done Averis Chamuris,
You
so
want
I'll use a
it?
simple example, a person, whatever, some Nevach, they ate pork on Yom Kippur. It says, even if you did Aveir Chamura, says you have to tell yourself, no, there's no example given. He said it just says Aveir Chamura. So to make it more realistic, I have to say something crazy. But and we all have a sort of version of this, but the message he says, even if it's Aveir Chamura, he says you have to tell yourself, and I want to find inside, it's the exact lashon. He said you have to tell yourself, now is not the time to think about it. You need to have a time, B'yishuv Adas, which is like you're settled, you're not emotional, you're not settled. And what do? And he goes, and you think about, and I think he says over there that it's Kriya Shema, like on Shalom Mitzvah, like a Thursday night. And what do you think about? Like Chanesta said, you think about Hashem, whom you've sinned against. That's the Lashon uses. I can't remember in Hebrew. So that was Farbrengen about it. But it's what meaning he said like this, I did something wrong. Hey, Nabach, it's all good. So first thing we want to do is we want to go into like, oh, you see, I'm not that good, pretty bad, and all this negative stuff. The first thing to say is no, now's not the time. As Sheish Tab explains it, he goes, you tell yourself, tell your Torah, Thursday night, let's have a meeting. I'm happy, I'll be there. And he goes, don't worry, he's not going to show up. But you come, and even when you go there and you say, I'm going to make a proper cheshbon, I'm sitting there, it's Elul, it's Rosh Hashana, it's Sesame Tshuva, and I have to do Sesame Tshuva. So what am I thinking about? Am I so bad? Let me enumerate all the bad things. You still have to enumerate, but what are you thinking about? It's about Hashem. Whom I've sinned against. I'm sorry, why? Because it is you, and I care about you, and like you care about me. And we can elaborate on that more. When you have that, the starting point really is the relationship. That Hashem is something meaningful in your life. I made a class for guys last Thursday, a week ago. It was about how to have a meaningful, like a real relationship with Hashem. One of the things he said is Arya Gurevich. Hey, you heard him?
Yeah.
It's great.
Everyone should listen to it.
Yeah. Oh, I'll let him know.
Yeah.
It didn't say that it was only man.
It's so exclusive, I just have to go in there.
Yeah. So one of the things he said over there was that part of having a relationship, you have to train yourself to see that there's another person in this room, and that is Hashem. Just like there's all of us, and like he said it in the beginning, it was just two of us, like we were setting up. It wasn't just two of us; it was three of us. It was Hashem. And I think, like I know for myself, for many years, you come to Rosh Hashana with all this baggage. You do good enough, you do good enough, and I'm not good, and this and that, and all that. And then you're like, I have to do tshuva, put some bad or whatever. I think we can't do that. We can do it, and a lot of us do. I'm saying, I think we have to tell ourselves, first, let me establish the relationship with Hashem, that I have a relationship, that I recognize that He cares about me, and I'm trying to build that relationship together. With that, once I have that, then we can think about who you're sinned against. It's like my kids. I went to a teacher orientation, whatever. One of my kids, and I was thinking about it. It was such an interesting thing that the teacher said. He was talking, and someone asked him, "What do you do during the break?" This is a very interesting. So what? And every teacher can do whatever they want. I'm not judging teachers, but what he said is during the break, especially in the classroom, he goes gets a coffee or something. He goes out. So he told me something about my son, and I said to him, maybe speak to him. Like it was very interesting. It was something that I'm not used to hearing. And he told me, I said, maybe during the break, speak to him. She said, yeah, he goes, if I do that, then I'm there for 2 minutes on my desk, and I'm going to have all the kids come to speak to me. The way I understood it was that, like, I don't want that. And afterwards, I was processing everything, and I was thinking about it, and I was like, he missed the points. Like, because one of the things else he talked about was like, we want to teach them so when they get older, they'll continue doing the right things, the chinuch, all the chassidish things. I realized the kids coming up to him, wanting to speak to him, that's your chance to make the connection. That's when you can become have a good relationship with the kids, and the kids like it. Like I said last time, if anyone remembers the story, but like when I was a bach in yeshiva, I first came to yeshiva. I went from a public school to yeshiva. I was from never really yeshiva environment, and it was in Melbourne. And basically there's a mashgiach. They don't have really yeshivas. Shouldn't. When a regular yeshiva have, it's called a mashgiach, and basically they're there to make sure you're on time, you're doing everything you're meant to do. Because some reason why you don't want to do that. And so he would, the curfew and things like this. So he came to our room, all sleeping, and he said, he came and he said, "You guys are sleeping. It's wrong." He's telling us off. I said, "You always just tell us off. I never hear anything positive from you." And I hit him a little bit. I didn't mean like I wasn't, but he's like, "I hear you. I get the point." He goes, "Fine. I'm a cabo. I'll take it." The next day, he comes in the morning, same lateness. Mind you, it was only 9 o'clock, but yeshiva, well, that's very late. And he said, "I'm waiting." I'm like, "You're waiting?" He goes, "You want me to say something nice? You have to do something. Like you have to do something." So I said, "Okay, I hear you. Fine." I'm like, let's see this. And then I forgot about it, but naturally you do some, normal things. I remember I was like curfew, whatever it was. So one morning he calls me over in the middle of Zal. So his place is in the middle by where they lean. And he's like, "Sharon." I'm like, and everyone's looking at me like, "Whoa, what do you do?" Whoa, So I come and he has this page that have all the information on you. It's ID. And it's everyone. And so he shows me 3 ticks on my name. I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "It's curfew." I'm like, I was there. So he goes, "No, yeah, I know you were. I was just pointing it out that you did. Good job." And I walked off so confused, and everyone "What happened?" I'm like, "I think he complimented me." And they were like, "No, I can't be." What do you mean? I said, "He just said that I came to curfew on time." But that changed me. Suddenly, I saw he cared about me, or he was trying to, and he did, and he started doing it more, and it really made a very big impact. And so when that happened, he was able to tell me things, and I'd listen without I wasn't fighting it. I picked up my kids a few days earlier, and I see the kids go to the bathroom, and they're that's their freedom, and they play around. And I realized you can box them into the rules, but you can tell they're not really there. They're not interested. And so too with Rosh Hashanah. I had a friend a few years ago. I like to speak to people that wouldn't always go up Lubavitch. And it's what's your experience with Tishrei? What is Tishrei for you? So he said to me, growing up, I hated it. So whoa, hate. It's a strong word. He said, I grew up a literature environment, and he said it was Judgment Day, and God's judgment me. I hated him. Leave me alone, man. Oh my, and he's being honest. He's not pretending. And I think sort of this is the point. That to get rid of the baggage, part of it is recognizing Hashem in our lives. Hashem is part of it, and he's essentially what we're doing on Rosh Hashanah. And this is sort of the point. There's 2 aspects of Rosh Hashanah. We say it's a Seresh Tshuva, the 10 days of Tshuva, which is between, which really the 10 days of Tshuva. It says is Eila Asar Yamim Shebein Rosh Hashanah Leim Kippur. These are the 10 days between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur. They're not between. Between Rosh Hashanah and Kippur is 7 days. It's not 10. So it says the Gemara. So what are these 7 days? So the Rebbe explains there's 2 aspects to Rosh Hashanah. And the first, the lower aspect is the tshuva, and that's the 10 days. It's part of the Sesame Tshuva, but there's a deep aspect, which is us crowning Hashem as king. We'll talk about it. We'll hear about this. And we're going to think about this. Phil, I've been talking a lot. So if anyone has any questions, or maybe if you don't mind me, I'll go out and you guys can sing a niggun if you want.
I'm loving the perspective. Just remind me what's up. If you're in a big battle.
Can I take a break? You can just call me when to come back.
Can I?
Okay, just wanted to, I found it in Netanya. Listen to the language that the Alter uses. He goes, if you have atzvus, your sadness, whether it's during davening or learning or whether just mundane. He says, this is what you have to put to your heart. This is what you have to tell yourself. Now's not the time to be truly sad. Afila daigos, even worries, avoinus chamurim chas v'shalom, even on severe sins. So you're having this baggage of Rosh Hashana and I have all these issues that I haven't, my Ella wasn't good enough, my Tishrei, my Cheshvan, everything is bad. So you have to tell yourself, now's not the time to think of these negative things. Rak zeis tzarech kvius itim. You have to have specific times. V'shah kosher, v'yishuv adas. At a good time, where the yishuv adas later on he says it's like krishma. And what do you do then? Lizbeinen, to meditate, b'gedulas Hashem, on the greatness of Hashem, asher chata loy, that we sinned to Him. And then he says over there, just such a powerful. You say yourself some time. First of all, you have to tell yourself, like we said in the beginning, you have to be happy. So like, well, I'm happy, but I did this, or I didn't do this, and Ella came and I missed this, whatever it is that we tell ourselves. So you have to tell yourself, now's not the time.
Is this really?
There's time when I'm not emotionally charged. And I set myself a time. It's talks about, let's say, davening, not davening. He says, you give yourself once a week, once a month. Make sure you had a good rest, you ate well, and then say, let's make a proper accounting. And what do you do then? You don't start thinking about all the sins. You think about Hashem. You meditate on Hashem, who you sinned against. So cool. Feel like, and no point in that you have to focus on, like Hanas was saying, it's like you're focusing on yourself. And you're like, it's about me, it's about my affairs. There is that aspect of it, but the true focus is the person. And then after he says, and after you have to feel with the complete faith that Hashem forgave you, and you should be simcha, amitis. Stam, I think it's very beautiful. Say again?
You help me figure this out.
What is it?
I just wanted to put on royal.
The tenth that going, no?
Yeah, and then the dots are flashing.
Well, you have to pick the very low or high or low of brother.
Royal, low. Okay.
Yeah.
That's it, do it like that.
Okay.
Why you brought it down?
The
Well, in this one now, like their perspective, they're not
What? What?
the fish head.
Oh,
going back to,
well,
like,
so-
person standard.
wait, vinegar, so
Here's
once,
something, it's something. When I did all the other things wrong, I was like, there's that aspect also.
Yeah, you were saying you want to say something?
Yeah, I think also like there's the aspect of when someone gets a problem and they want to own it. Like, a lot of times, what I would do is like analyze what brought it, what happened, how technically I could the surrounding area be a better situation so it doesn't happen again. And I hear it saying like even further back, like this very practically what are we talking about? And what I'm hearing from this is like, don't get stuck on the nitty-gritty details of like perfecting and perfectionism. Like, don't get lost in it. Like, remember who we're talking about. You know, like, keep in touch with that. And that will sink in the big way. And, you know, hopefully it will help you change your actions. And I think that's like a chesed approach versus a super approach. Even though, like, it's very severe in such a way. You're talking about I'm gonna say like the great Hashem that you
Yeah.
like,
Gedulas Hashem. They sin to him.
Yeah, like greatness of
And I think this is also like for in relationships. When you speak to someone, yeah.
Yeah, it's like not getting stuck on like the details that happened and like trying to like like perfect or force things into being, but it's interesting, right? See who is off of that.
Remember the bells temple when you're driving, you're looking over the hood of the car, 3 feet in front of the car. You're going to be constantly making correction. And you're also there's some danger because you're not like looking further ahead. But if you just look further ahead, you're still going to get to the right place, and you're going to get there. It's going to be a lot more smooth and efficient because your focus, your goal is closer to like the end goal.
Right, and of course, if you're over the steering wheel, if you're there,
Right,
which is the practical part of it. They need to do things properly. It's pretty much it.
Feels like what everyone's saying is that it's interesting. How do you say it? Like, and I think this is the truth. It's like the truth of it is that to ask for forgiveness, or to truly ask for forgiveness, has to be coming from a place of care. Meaning, huh? What happened? Mute other people? You don't. Yeah. Meaning, essentially, what I think what we're all saying is that to ask for forgiveness, to truly ask for forgiveness, you have to have a true relationship. The relationship comes first, and this is the whole point of a Sesame Tshuva, of Rosh Hashana has 2 aspects. The first part, it's like it says in the Medrash, explaining like sort of Rosh Hashana is that a king came and came to like a town to rule, and he spoke to the townspeople and he said, "Tell us what the rules are." So he said, "No, it doesn't work that way." He goes, "First, take me as your king, and then we'll talk about the rules." Because first you have to have the relationship. It's like Rosh Hashanah. It's this all aspect we're talking about tshuva, but the first thing really it's about crowning Hashem as king, meaning, and the Chassid talks about this how like Rosh Hashanah sort of the malchus goes away, and really it goes down to like we start off the year. Hashem's asking us, "Do you want me to be here?" Because we can't ask for forgiveness if we don't want Him. You can technically, like the kids, go to class and they follow and behave. But if you want to have the kid, or like when I was in yeshiva, if you want to have me together with you, which had happened for that man, afterwards he went back to me his old ways and I didn't like him anymore. But if you want to have that, you have to. But it has to come from us. Hashem wants. But we have to make it. We have to build it. And also understanding we have limitations. We're not malachim. We're not perfect. And this is life. But that's sort of what we're aiming for. Before we start thinking about tshuva, which is a component, and it's also talking halachically is saying the thing you did wrong. But the first thing we've got to think about, I think going into Rosh Hashanah and like the beginning of it is have a relationship with Hashem. And could I improve on that? And it's more my understanding of my relationship with Hashem, understanding of Hashem. It's like I remember my wife told me she was in seminary, she had a friend that wasn't Lubavitch. And she goes, she started davening, she was crying, she was like all into it. My wife was like so impressed. Like, Lubavitch is weird. Unfortunately, you don't see much emotion in davening. So my wife asked, like, wow, like how'd you like I see you davening. So she goes, I got taught that when you're davening, you're meant to think of Hashem as like a lion chasing you. Yeah. And so she thinks about it, so she's scared. And I'm not, Chas V'Shalom to put it down. It's very nice. But like that's not like the relationship we're looking for. We're looking for a deeper, more real. Because if he's a lion, the lion's not always here. The lion's there, I daven, and then you might be scared of davening, But a lot of you daven, your lion is cool, and you might feel good because you cry, but like,
The emotion is like not related to the experience of the
yeah, exactly. Or even worse, could be that's like your interpretation of God, and then you get to like my friend that he hated in Tishrei. So I think about it. It's also like I think a good way of explaining it. I had a friend that he said when you go into your chiddush, your knees would shake, like it's so like intense. It was like intense, and people were scared. It was like intense. So I thought to myself, if it's so intense, then why do you go? Or another bad example of it, but like this, we all know about in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, second Beis Hamikdash, that the Kohen Gadol was bought out, so you could buy your position, and the Kohen would go on Yom Kippur, that they'll tie a string around you because the Kohen wouldn't survive. It wasn't on the level to be there. So the obvious question is, so why are you going? You know you're going to die. It's because it's having something real, and the experience is awesome. And so too, Lahavdil, like a chassid going to the Rebbe, it's like, why are you going so shaky? It's not because it's a bad thing. It's because it's real. And like the Rebbe cares about me. He's there to do what's best for me. And it's intense. And I think Rosh Hashana sort of you can look at it that way. It's intense, but like we have to get to that point of like we're connected. I want to have a relationship with God. And wherever we're holding, I think it's also like, cannot reiterate this enough. If we ever put ourselves down in any way because of this, meaning you're looking at yourself and you're saying, could be better. And could be better. Where does it lead you to? Does it lead you in a negative spiral in any way? That's not, we missed it. We missed the point. We have to stop and restart. It's like, you read the Rebbe's letters, which I haven't read that many, but somehow I got this like, it's a very good thing to read because you get an understanding of how the Rebbe thinks and how we should be thinking. And with the letters that I read, one theme came across was, how do you know something is coming from the Yetzer Hara or the Yetzer Tov? Anyone know? But why? What would you think? Just a little louder. This AC is very loud. Exactly. Just repeat it so everyone else hears over here. That the way you know is what it leads you to do. It's a very good litmus test to figure out where is this coming from, because life is lived, and if we're not sensitive, we don't pay attention to it. But this voice is going and it's telling us and moving us around, and we have to become sensitive to that voice and figure out where that voice is telling me. Is it telling me you do something positive or not? Something negative? I feel bad for whatever. Let's say between friends, we do something wrong, a friend, and you feel bad, and like, oh, I'm such a bad, and you call your friend, I'm such a bad person. It's coming from the wrong place, and it's a very good way to look at things, to ask yourself, and especially good just to finish off like back from what we said before, the discussion about like the relationship with Hashem. It's not about the sin, about whom you sinned against. When you're asking for forgiveness from someone, you don't say that the not best way of doing it is to say, I'm sorry, and you start enumerating all you did wrong. Because you end up being still about you.
It's like that's all we're doing.
So I once heard, we say al chait, in the Yom Kippur, we say al chait, and we enumerate the sin. So I heard one time on Yeshiva, he said, it's not about the sin, it's about the al chait shechtan l'fanecha. Really, yeah, and you may, because you got to be honest, but you can't say to someone, I'm really sorry for what I did, and like I know I hurt you, but you're beating around the bush. It's like I remember like they interviewed the president, like, do you agree with this? And they slide around the answer. You have to be honest. You have to say, if you did something wrong, you said something wrong, but the focus is not I did something wrong. I did something wrong to you. Like they say about like you don't say, I love you. It's you are loved by me. It's you. What's the focus is you. Sounds funny, but it's a very important dynamic. And this is sort of what we're trying to. This is sort of the aspect of Tamuchini Aleichem, crowning Hashem as king, is saying, I want you to be my king. I want to have a relationship with you in my life. To the best of my ability. With
Like, wow, you're amazing. Like, what are we doing? Like,
We're not like, look at what I'm saying. Or we're done. There's like a split.
yeah, there's a split.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Or
what's the
we're
difference
not.
exactly like,
Or like, you're great.
Between
Rosh Hashana and Kippur? I feel like I kind of push it together as a concept.
Rosh Hashanah is more of an aspect of crowning Hashem as king. It's the beginning. They're all whole together. I didn't think about this too much, but you're asking, and it's off the top of my head. Rosh Hashanah is about crowning Hashem as king, first and foremost. That's the beginning. Once you crown Hashem as king, you say, I want you to be my king. But he says, okay, I like it, I appreciate it. But let's get real of it here. You didn't make it sound that way like 5 weeks ago. So then you say, yeah, listen, there's a few things I need to make up for. Yom Kippur is the last sort of stage of that. But even Yom Kippur itself is a day that Hashem set as a place for atonement. Kippur's from the Torah says that I will forgive you. Hashem gave us a day to be forgiven. Doesn't mean we have the rest of the year to do whatever we want. Yom Kippur set up by Hashem in a way that we can be forgiven. Hashem wants to forgive us. He doesn't want it. We say after Hashana Teikef says, I can't remember the language, but it says like, Hashem doesn't want you to die, I want you to return to Tshuva and pay attention when we're davening and look at it and you see it's very nice. Yeah. Also say Ben Yaakeli.
So nice to hear like Hashem wants to forgive us.
It says, you know what it says? You know what it says in Ayom Yom tomorrow? Anyone know?
oh, you did extra credit, Jerome.
So this is a little secret. I also didn't see it yesterday in Yom Yom. The trick is take Ayom Yom and you see something good over there, you Farbrengen about with someone, and it sticks with you, and then you remember it. So I don't know the exact lashon. It's been a year since I checked it. It basically says we can't imagine this, how special is the body of a yid to Hashem. The body is sort of the problem. The neshama is good. It makes sense if you say how special the neshama is to Hashem. Yeah, it's like family. The body is sort of the one getting in the way. By Hashem, that's like the Mashar. That's what it says. I don't know what the message they're ever trying to tell us, but maybe there's a pirush somewhere I didn't see. But I think right.
That's why the body's so precious. So, it's being elevated. It's really put back to the source. That's such a gosh, it's big thing. Maybe that's the idea of what Rosh Hashana is really what the gosh is where it's at. He's emphasizing that concept.
What's interesting, it's a good point, but if you think about it, he's saying the preciousness to Hashem. Meaning yes, the gashmis, but you could say, no, meaning adding to it, you could say that it's not just the gashmis that we have the potential, that it's us without faults, is precious to Hashem. My son was reading a sikha, and I can't remember where it's from. It was Man Chai. I was like reading through with him. So he says over there, why do we celebrate Rosh Hashanah on the 6th day of creation? Because of us being born. But what's so special about us is that we have Bechir Chavshis. So my son wasn't too interested. Yeah, he's still young. So I said to him, I'm gonna ask you a question. If you had a choice, what would you rather? Be like a tzaddik, be an angel, you have no Averis, no Yitzhar, or like now you are. You have, you don't want to do that, you don't learn, all the struggles we have. Which one would we choose? Anyone? What would you choose? You had a choice. You could be a malach. No struggles. Yeah.
I'm over it. I'm very happy with that. I would be a
Oh, so yeah. Why? So explain yourself. Why? Go make the choices. So then you're a mala. What? That we do make. But, so the question is, it seems like what you're saying is that because I make good choices, yeah, I like being the person. And what happens if we make bad choices? Will we not like it?
No, I mean, okay, I take that back. I think it's good in a relationship where like you mess up.
Exactly. And that's what he says over there. He says the specials that we have is that we have bechir chavshus. It's so funny. What? Yeah. Yeah, but the point is that we have to realize that the bechira, which is sort of the problem, that's what makes all our issues. That's what makes Rosh Hashanah hard. It'd be a lot easier if we were malachim or we were, tzaddikim. We don't have these issues, but we have these issues, and that's why we come with the baggage. That's the baggage issue. But the point is, because we have the baggage, that's why we're precious. That's why we're special. That's why we're chosen to be the ones to choose Hashem as king. Like you were saying, Hashem doesn't want robots.
What was the initial point when you had that question of
Well,
that's you backtrack.
I can't. Sorry, I can't hear. Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't choose to honor the
Yeah. But see that the problem is that's the idea that we understand intellectually. But then we go back to life and we struggle and we don't think about it this way. I feel it's like a reminder. It's true, but you're talking from perspective of I'm not struggling, and I look at struggling as a good thing. But when I'm struggling, I don't say, this is so good, I enjoy this. I'm struggling, I don't like this. Like what you're saying is true, but you're talking about the idea, and the idea is very true, but I struggle. And I come El and I try and it doesn't work, and life is crazy. And you come here, Rosh Hashanah, you're sitting there and you're like, Rosh Hashanah, like my head, like just want to get some sleep. And you're gonna come and you sit there and shul. So what are you gonna do to yourself? You can come and say, look, you see, I'm not good. And me, crown Hashem as king, who am I? But what I'm trying to say is that we can say, yeah, that's exactly the point. He wants us with all these things. This is how he made us. As it says in the 60-day book, I don't know where that it says, but it says over there, I remember when I first heard that, I was like, wow. It says Hashem didn't make a perfect world, which we all understand. So why do you expect that you have to be perfect within it? Meaning Hashem doesn't expect us to be perfect. And we don't do everything right. Whatever that standard that we put for ourselves, and we don't live up to it, that's part of it.
So even if we struggle, the outcome is always
You say it again?
So you're saying that the book says that Hashem didn't make a perfect world, so we can't expect us to be perfect.
Yeah.
And it's time when we learn that we are expected to be bigger. So we may struggle, but our actions will always be perfect.
We should always strive for perfection. Not perfection, strive to do the right thing. The point is we should strive to do the right thing. I think we can look at it in terms of where's the goal? I think that's how we look at it. If you come and say to yourself, listen, it's never going to happen. So then what am I free? Am I pater? I don't have to do anything? Like it says in Pirkei Avos, it's all your job to finish it. but you're not free to say, listen, I'm not going to do it. And what he's saying is, not necessarily you're going to become a Beinoni, which I think we all can. And the Rebbe says in the Maimon that there's even stages in our life, in our day, that we are tzaddik. So that's a different discussion. He says basically when you have something, he goes, what's a tzaddik? A tzaddik is most, right? A tzaddik is discussed by things that aren't kedusha. And we also have that. In certain times, it says you're davening or you're learning. It can be in any time of the day. He says even which is like synonymous with whatever you're doing, nothing holy. But if at that point you have this like discuss anything that's not kedusha, so you're like a little tzaddik. You're not. I don't know what that means. I'm literally a tzaddik, whatever. But I'm saying we don't have to get down that we didn't become a Beinoni yet, but it doesn't mean we consider ourselves our need to become a Beinoni. And that's also with Rosh Hashanah. We don't have to come and say, I'm not good enough, but we can't say, I don't have to do anything. And this is the balance. Like, I have the B'chir Chavshis, so I'm going to make mistakes, but it doesn't mean I'm like, I can just go around doing whatever I want because it's B'chir, that's how you decided. Say it again.
I'm saying you can check in, but you can't check out. Like you guys. Whatever.
Yeah.
I'm picking up.
You're checked in already.
You're already checked in. There's no. You can't neglect the work that you started. You can't give up on yourself.
It's a funny concept, like whether or not we accept it. I'm just thinking you were saying you can check in, but there's this aspect of whether you check it or not, you're in. But you also have to actively check it.
I feel like I'm thinking of this like muscle period is like engagement. It's like someone's not being like, listen, like I'm not really interested. If you are, then we'll do it. You know, it's like it sounds like I'm all in with you guys. Like I want to do this. I want to be connected forever, and I want to do this. So someone's in, like the energy is someone loves us. He wants to be with us. And he just wants to know we're on the other side and we're there, we're alive. You know? And like, that's what I've been like gathering in my head. Throughout this Farbrengen.
Yeah, no, that's good. I guess another question, something that like I sort of realized, it's very interesting. And that, what would you say is sort of, I don't know how to say it on the top. Like, what's more? I don't know. Sort of, what's more important, a yid or Torah and mitzvahs?
Not a fair question.
Why the trick question?
Yeah, they're all the same.
We're not the same.
We're all.
Oh, the love of loves, yeah. Does that mean it's more? I think my question was what was more important, Torah mitzvahs? So you're saying a yid is more important? Or?
Solid evidence.
Yeah, what does it say? Tashon Chavav? Do you know which? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Very good. Oh, yeah, very good. So you're saying there's no Torah, there's no Yidden?
It's not like a weird question. You can't have one over the other. You can't have. You prioritize one over the other. You're not really understanding what. Actually, yeah, like it doesn't make sense to say, yeah, but that was a means to an end, so that the Jews could then ultimately get repair the connection. Right? It wasn't like to break the Torah so that then everybody go off on their own. Right? Like,
It's good. I like it. It seems like what you're saying is they're intertwined. Is that what you're saying?
yeah, sure, yeah.
What's more important?
Why did you ask the question? What's the question behind it?
Because I think the question helps us a deepen appreciation of Rosh Hashanah. No, but I want. No, I was enjoying the discussion, but so like I had this question. I was like learning Chassidus 2 years ago, and I'm like, so I had like a teacher, whatever, and I said, what I'm understanding from Chassidus is that a yid is the most important thing. A yid, a Jew is the most important. It's above Torah. So he's like he looked at me like, yeah, it's obvious. I was like, I didn't realize how obvious it was. I thought about it when I don't think with Chassidus you don't see this. Meaning like this. A kid, unfortunately, is from home and he stops keeping Torah mitzvahs. How do parents react? If Torah mitzvahs is the most important thing, so then you without Torah mitzvahs, yeah, it's a problem. Say again?
Who's Torah mitzvahs are the most important? The kids or the parents? The parents are really like.
Sorry, I missed it. Say it again?
I skipped this. Sorry, I'll come back.
It's good. It was good.
I was like, whose Torah mitzvahs are most important? Because the parents are going to match the kids, following the path, so to speak, that they can kick them out, that they're not, channeling or listening to their own. They were to treat their child. And there's a lot of asking about the emphasis of parents. Is it the parents'
Meaning, and I think a lot of parents, and this is like Chabad, you have this, and I think a lot of us sort of have this. Like, but when we come and we have a big issue with a kid not kid not keeping Torah mitzvahs, now get kicked out, or something really drastic happens. Well, essentially, what we're saying is you're only important as much as your mitzvahs are important. And essentially, what you're saying is the mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs, are more important than your child, or than a yid. Whereas Chassidus is teaching us, and of course, you have to do Torah mitzvahs. But like you said, they broke the luchit, that the whole purpose of Torah without a yid is nothing. Yid is what makes Torah. Yid is everything. Hashem, and we learn Chassidus and pay attention to it. Yid is everything. It says in the Maimon, we learned this. Purim Maimon, Kibel Yehudim, very famous Maimon, called the Maimon that killed Stalin. And one of the things he says over there, he goes, Haman went to a level that a Yid and a Goy are on the same level, like a deep level, like a high level in godliness that none of us matter. The way I understand is like you look at 2 ants outside, you don't care, like there's 2 ants. So Haman sort of tried to reach a level over there, and on that level, he said, I could try to destroy the Jewish people. God doesn't care, just like the 2 ants on the other side of the street, I don't care about. So whatever happens, happens. Whatever explains over there, but even on that level, that it's true doesn't care. And it's true that you can do a lottery and it's not going to make a difference. But even in the place that God doesn't care, he still cares. Not because we give him anything. And that's sort of the point that says in the Maimon, I don't know who quoted the Maimon, on Ani Ladedi, that he says over there that I don't remember exactly the language, but it's the yid. Even he says even above the level of tshuva, and this is sort of what we're talking about. When we're talking about tshuva, we're talking about a lower level of the relationship with God. There's a deeper level which is above tshuva, in which tshuva doesn't count. And a simple way of maybe understanding it, I'm not sure if this is the exact marshal, but this is the way I understand it. Chas v'shalom, you have Mr. Shem, everyone will have kids. And some days the kids are a little bit annoying. A kid could be not behaving, whatever. It's not so much fun. Kids could be annoying, yeah. Don't tell anyone. Well, they're still being recorded. I didn't say my kids. My kids are the best. But so let's say this kid is annoying you, and then you go out for whatever it is, and then unfortunately the kid runs into the road, whatever happens, and Pasha nearly gets hit by a car. Chas v'shalom. Should never happen. The kid was annoying you the whole day, and you were very good. You're like, this kid's so annoying. But when that happens, you're gonna run and grab that kid and give him a big hug, and you're gonna be so happy the kid's still there. Nothing happens. What happened to that old annoying kid from the whole day? It's different levels of the relationship. The level of the relationship, the day-to-day stuff that we have to do Torah mitzvahs, and we don't do Torah mitzvahs, and that's a problem. But there's a deeper level that it's my son or my daughter, whatever it is, I'm not like that. Is on a deeper level than that. On that level, it's irrelevant what my kid did. It's like I used to work in Aleph, and one of the things the mothers would say, like, unfortunately, some of the mothers have kids that have done some serious crimes. And I remember hearing a mother said, she goes, you can disagree, like I can disagree with the action and still love the child. Because it's very hard. You have a kid, it's your kid, and your kid, the Chas Shalom, did something really bad. So how do you live with this? It's two levels of the relationship. Hashem is not one-dimensional, and our relationship with that as well is not one-dimensional. With Hashem, with our friends, with friends, family, everything, it's not one-dimensional. There's different levels of it. So there's one level that Torah mitzvahs matter, and that's the level of tshuva, of Seis Tshuva. But there's a deeper level, which is above all that, which is us and Hashem. And therefore, just to bring it back to that, finish off the story, like the kid is not doing mitzvahs. Ultimately, you have to show the kid, it's very important, that it's irrelevant about the Torah mitzvahs. They're my son or my child. It's like there's a story from the perspectives. I have all these books now, but like the first volume of it talks about a story. There's a lady in the 30s in Yerushalayim. Imagine 30 in Mea Sharim. Mea Sharim in the 30s Yerushalayim, serious stuff. And she was like finding out, she was getting connected with the Zionist movement, and that do these things. They go hang out at late night, her with his guy friends, and she would come home late nights sometimes, 2 a.m. And a woman 2 a.m. in the 30s was unheard of, especially in Mea Sharim. And when she'd come home to a family. Father would always get up, and he wouldn't say anything. I don't know how you figure this out, but he wouldn't say anything. And he'd say, "Oh, you're probably very hungry. It's very late. Let me make you some eggs." And he'd go and he'd make an omelet or whatever. And he told all the kids, all his kids, her siblings, you're not allowed to say anything. Leave her and don't say anything. And he knew she wasn't up to no good. Came at a certain point with all the friends, and they decided they're all publicly desecrating Shabbos. We wanna show who we really are. Enough of the fakeness. We're gonna drive down the Malchi Show, whatever the main street is, to kick our Shabbos on Shabbos in the Jeep, and everyone's gonna see us, and we're doing it. So everyone gets on. Or I don't know if those days they even did such things. And everyone gets on the Jeep, but she doesn't go. She's not on. She doesn't get on. So everyone's like, "No, let's go. We're going." And she can't get on. Like, what's your deal? We're going. You're not coming. She goes, "I can't." She goes, "I can't get on." He's like, why? Why can't you get on? Like, this is our life. She goes, the eggs are killing me. And the guy that told the story is Chaim Deitch. He's the Rosh of the Kollel Tzedek. And he says, I know who the lady is, and she has a very big from family, all worked out in the end. But essentially, what did he do? He showed, and this is sort of what this is showing us. This sort of Rishon is, in a certain sense, part of what's it about. It's about us and Hashem. It's not about Torah mitzvahs. And that's what he was showing you. I care about you. Why do I want you to Torah mitzvahs? Because I care about you. I don't care about you because you do Torah mitzvahs, but because I care about you, I want you to do Torah mitzvahs. Do you love me because I do Torah mitzvahs? Or because you love me, you want me to do Torah mitzvahs? It's a very fine, but it's a very big difference. And it's very important, like Hanacha action we have to sort of instill within us. Hashem loves me and He cares about me, not because I do Torah mitzvahs, but because He loves me, He wants me to do Torah mitzvahs. Torah mitzvahs is what Hashem gave us to have a relationship. How can we have a relationship with the infinite? It doesn't work. There's no logic, there's no way in the world that we can have that relationship. It's like a person speaks only Chinese, a person speaks only English. There's no language. To us and Hashem, there's no language, it doesn't exist. But what Hashem did is very nice. He said, I'll give you mitzvahs, Torah mitzvahs. And this is the way you can connect with me. It's like it says about karbanos. Like if the bull is a karbanos, if you ever listen to Chabad or I got, and he says, he also explains, he said, it's not that Hashem cares for the carbon per se. Like Hashem loves is it's a reich nichayach. I'm talking about karbanos, it's a good smell. So he says, Rashi explains, is nachas ruach, it gives Hashem pleasure. Shamarti v'nasri tuni, that I asked you and you did it. Hashem wants you to turn mitzvahs because He wants to have a relationship with you. That's why He gives it to us. If you don't do it, it's not that you make Him angry. It's that you just didn't have the relationship. You missed out on the opportunity. Have you ever had someone that like really cared about you? It's like the Rabbi said once, someone asked the Rabbi, like a kid in college or something, he goes, what's the Rabbi? What's the Rabbi? What's so special about the Rabbi? So the Rabbi said, I'm the best friend. So he goes, like we all have best friends. He goes, if your best friend would tell you, he goes, do you have a best friend you could tell him the worst and like all the schmutz? You could tell him, you still be your best friend? So he's like, oh, he goes, I'm that best friend. What? Inside joke, huh? Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you could say in a simple sense, I don't know the exact answer to this, but if you ask me, so I'll just give the way I see it. There's different levels. Just like I told you the story about the kid. Kid misbehaves, the parents aren't happy. But there's a deeper level, the parents still a kid.
It wouldn't be a good thing if someone doesn't get that.
It's like a healthy anger.
It's
like why are you not showing up? Yeah, but does Hashem have
apathy.
If we have it, it's with Hashem has it.
If you tell someone to look at that, it's like, I don't care about you very much.
Yeah, but Hashem is unlimited kindness, abundant kindness.
Okay. He's also abundant protection and caring.
Unlimited anger.
Yeah. Well, anger is not anger for itself, but like anger, like connected. Well, he's sensitive to that. He's like that. We have like he makes himself sensitive to that. So if you do something, that's good.
Why for something?
That's how it's. I don't feel like Hashem is angry. I think in the Bible Hashem's angry.
What was that?
There's a very big difference in the time.
I know, I'm just saying, like, Hashem is evolved, our understanding of Hashem is evolved.
I don't understand.
Change.
You lost me already. You lost me. You're gonna have to start again.
Voracious bara.
Oh my God,
Got too much. What? Got too much. No, it's just our understanding of God. I think it's changed. Yeah, not even that one stuff. Sorry. Sorry, guys. That's fine.
That's what the problem with God.
That's what I'm saying.
It's not pleasant, but like,
Helps us understand
that's
that
like,
more.
that's what comes along with the relationship.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I
I
don't
just don't know the
understand.
What?
I can't hear. Say it again.
Anger is not going to be angry, but like, that's the.
It says it in the pasuk. Says it in the pasuk, no? Ein mikra yedei yetzim yedei pshutei. Pasuk is literal.
Well, I'm translating that.
Yeah.
He knows what's where.
Oh yeah, but it is for sure. There's plenty of psukim talking about Hashem unhappy with us.
Hashem's nose flared. Okay, that's what it is. Like, he's not happy. Right, but that's a sign of anger.
Meaning, another way of thinking about it. I think this is a good way of explaining. Yeah, that's also the prize. Well, it's either one. If you have, yes. So when someone is there's anger because there's a few types of anger you could say. There's an anger if someone on the street annoys you. That's not the anger that I think we're talking about Hashem. There's an anger when someone when a child and a parent have a relationship and they expect from you more, unhappy with you. Let's say something like that. There's a healthy anger is a tough word, but I'm saying there's a healthy relationship that have different emotions, like happy emotions and unhappy, and disappointment, anger, things like this. Yeah.
Somebody who loves them, if they go back to it, that person's going to be angry at them. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I'm angry. Why are you doing this to yourself? You're right. Like, I'm angry because you're hurting.
I think it's also for himself, meaning a part of like what's like deep about what Hashem that yeah, but Hashem makes himself sensitive, that he makes himself vulnerable, that he makes it that he like when you do it very really you drag Hashem down, like he makes himself intimate. So like the flip side of that is a really beautiful thing, right? And it's something that able to connect with deeply. But the flip side of that is that it's actually an effect. So make it equal to that. Obviously, not like our anger where it's like involuntary, but
I think also a general like understanding that like if you listen to the rabbis, like you learn like sichos and stuff, you learn that the Rebbe ultimately we're always interpreting our understanding of Hashem based on our lives and whatever we understand, and we put it together and we make it work. But I think the important part, and then we can do this and work. Like as long as it works for you, it's fine. As long you just have to appreciate that just because you understand this way doesn't mean that's the way it is by Hashem. Hashem is infinite, and we have these things, but He has it. I'm saying we can all make our interpretations to the best of our knowledge if we haven't gotten that specific chassidus, and it works, and it makes you do more. It's good. I think one of the things like you see when you learn chassidus is the Rebbe always shows how you'll read some story that it's like a negative story, and like let's say a story in the Gemara that's like someone did something bad, like a big tzaddik, whatever. So if you don't look at it right, like, hey, you see, like me and him we're all the same, that's a little bit less, but it's not. The Rebbe always shows you, and he goes to great lengths to show you in a very clear and way that when you understand that it's not the way you think about it. And what I learned from that is that there's a definition that we have, and we try to mold these people, these stories, or whatever it is, to a way we see it. That's our frame of reference. So so this guy is not so good, but look, he did this Avera. But the Rebbe shows, and so you learn, you don't necessarily have the answer, but you understand that he must be good. He or she, whatever the situation is. I don't know. So we're talking about Hashem, whatever it is, he's angry, this and that. And we all have these Pirushim. But whatever works for you is good. I'm sure there's a good answer, maybe I don't have. I'm saying whatever works and makes it work for you is good. But we have to also realize if it comes like God is angry, he hates me, I'm the worst, then that's not how it's meant to be. You see what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? We can make the Pirushim or the way we understand it. We just have to be clear. It's our interpretation, and it's not like, and it's not like a negative character trait. Hashem, of course, is none. But like I'm saying, even like a tzaddik or something, or like you hear these stories, or like sometimes the crazy stories, or Tanakh, or whatever it is. So I think people can come and say, oh, you see, they're not so holy like we think. But I think it's totally not true. You have to just understand it. We have to understand that just because it sounds to us the way we understand it, we're just lacking information, and sure it's not that way.
Why is that, like, it's enough everything that was done that wasn't correct? Like, the Rebbe was able to find, I guess, people on these lists, but like, now, it's not like that, or like now, also, I mean, correct.
1 second. The Rebbe, it wasn't. I don't think it's Melamed Schus. Melamed Schus essentially is saying it's bad. We found a way of making it sound good. It's like my son is very sweet. He goes, the kid next to me, sort of, he wanted my snack. He wanted to have some snack. He said if I give him snack, then he'll give me a toy. So I gave him the snack, and of course I didn't get the toy. So he said probably he forgot. Yeah, so that was Melamed Schus. But between me and you, we all think, and maybe I'm not going to judge him, but like that's what I mean. Like a kid, that's what kids do. The Rebbe's not doing that. He's not like, oh, I'll make it sound like. No, the Rebbe's saying because this is emes. The Rebbe doesn't make things pretend. He says it because it's true. And when you learn it, sometimes it sounds a little bit far, but it isn't. We just lack the knowledge. And the Rebbe has the broader knowledge of Torah. So he's saying if you understood all this Torah, then it'll make sense to you as well. Yeah, why not? I don't know what you mean by our generation. You mean Bechlal, our generation?
They all have books that in our eyes, and then we found this is what actually was admirable or whatever. Something like we got also in our generation. Like that, we also are have good intentions. I guess. Yeah, I think everyone, no one's trying to have good intentions. The action is so much. Like we all still have good intentions. No one's trying to like really think that we're bad. We're just trying to validate our feelings or you know what I mean? Like people are now.
I think like again, there could be a specific case or something you're talking about that we're not going to get personal. We're not going to discuss it. I'm saying in general, yeah, for sure. Melamed Schus. And not even Melamed Schus. I think we have to ask a question. There's so much more before that gets to that point. Melamed Schus really is when you see something wrong and it's clear and it's obvious. Not obviously you've interpreted. Someone is telling you like, hey, that's not wrong. You shouldn't do that. Yeah, that's stealing. And the guy's like, yeah, I know. And he's not poor or anything. And he just steals anyway. And then you can walk into Melamed Schus. Generally, we're jumping before we know the information. And we're making conclusions before we know. And I hear people all the time tell me things, and it's like, once did I tell you that? No, but it's obvious. Obvious, whoa. Like, and there's so many times that like someone will tell me something, and before I jump, I'll say, what do you mean by that? And I'll tell me something like, whoa, I did not get that.
I guess you know. He read us Hadaras.
Yeah.
So maybe that's where my question comes from. Are we doing so much worse than the generations before us? If they were able to do
So I have to say,
No, we're on your shoulder.
and I have to say, oh, listen, you have to listen to this. So a few months ago, my father came to visit. I haven't seen him last time he was in America was like 8 years ago. I saw him once in Australia, 2018. I had a chance to see him. I haven't really seen him in a long time. And Friday night, we were eating our Shabbos meal. I'm going to this exact discussion. Yehuda Sedaris, him and Chal and I we were like going back and forth. It was very funny. So my father is very Chassidish, very like old school, Bashemska type yid, and he's like his story, one of his favorite stories. I don't know his favorite story. His story told me that it's like sort of encapsulates it. He goes, there was a Farbrengen going on the edge of town in one of these shanty houses. By the time they're like the Magid, and some Gevir came to town, and he went to the Magid. He asked him a question. He goes, "You want to experience something holy?" So he's like, "Yeah, whatever." He goes, "Go to the edge of town, and you'll find like something's going on." So he goes, and he sees the Farbrengen, and the Farbrengen has like they're sitting on like stools, like tree stumps, and there's like maybe some mashka and like a herring. That's it. There's nothing there. And these old guys, they're sitting around in the Farbrengen. And this Gevir comes, he's a chashva guy. He has horse and chariot. He has all the things. He looks at this nebach matzah, he's like, poor guys. Let me go help him out. So he goes to the local store, place whatever that is. Goes to the kultiv and he gets all this stuff together. He comes back, brings him the chip, the beer and all the good things. Like, yeah. He goes, "Oh, guys, look, I helped you." They look at him and they're like, "Ah, you ruined it." But I think so. First of all, encapsulated my father in very many ways. So his sort of argument was we. But I would say that we can honestly say we're low in the sense that we live in a much coarser life. Like the Friedrich says, he goes, "I have an istiness." He was how do you say Charlie istiness? Where when it comes to halacha, like let's say the 9 days you know how to shower, but an istiness can shower. It's like finicky, doesn't like getting dirty. So he says, "I'm an istiness." Friedrich grew up in Lubavitch, that in the winter or like before it was fully snow, it was mud in the streets. You walked around with these boots to your knee, so you wouldn't get all mud everywhere. We couldn't handle that. Like, we didn't have running water probably. Like, saying we get to choose what we want to eat. In Lubavitch, the delicacy Friedrich ever got was a watermelon. For us, it's like a watermelon. So I'm saying in that sense, I think we're a lot more just natural costs. But we're not. But together with that, we have Chassidus, and what the Rebbe revealed is the deepest and low and highest levels, brought it down all the way to the lowest. So we have birth. That's how I look at it. It's birth. One hand we can't live without AC. People didn't have AC. In New York in the 60s, they didn't have ACs. Why did they go upstate? Because it was just cooler. Bagashvis. It's sitting here, it was schwitz. Imagine, you see like the Shrazes sit on the outside because they don't have ACs. And it's because it's hot. It's because it's hot inside. It's not just that, but it's hot. And people lived in apartments without AC. Imagine living in an apartment without AC. That's how people lived not long ago. So for sure, we're on a low level. What? Yeah. Whatever.
They had enough wood.
Whatever. The point is, I think in that sense, we are a lot more. No, I don't like the word low, but it's a Yehuda Sedaris. It's in that sense.
No,
It's
we're
spoiled.
using it to elevate the.
Management says, Management said, he goes, when I was a kid, I came back from yeshiva one day. It was like after lunch, and he asked his mother, "What's for dinner?" He says, "What's for dinner?" So he goes, "I never asked that ever again." What did she answer him? Food. And he goes, "Nowadays the kids, what are we eating? What do I want to eat? This picky choices." He goes, "I never had choices. You eat, you don't eat. I don't care." So I think for showing that in that sense, we're a lower level. The question is, do you do that for yourself? When it's coming for cookie kids, you say, "Yeah, you don't need it," but you don't like it. What do you do? Very good. No, very good. Yeah. But we think about it. Think about it. In Russia, it wasn't a question: did you eat food or not? You had food, you ate. You didn't have food, you didn't eat. Yeah, yeah, I had food. One of the things that we all know, it was like a few weeks ago. A few weeks ago, I was at a Farbrengen, a birthday Farbrengen. If you ever want to have a good birthday Farbrengen topic, this is a very simple one. I do this. I'm gonna just often, but like it's an easy like Farbrengen you can have, and I've thought about it enough. Like I also went through this, so it's easy. You can always go on the birthday. I say so that of birthday Farbrengen for someone, and I said on the birthday it says you meant to do a cheshbon in nefesh. Also, it says that in Shabbos Varchim El, or Shabbos Varchim, for El, and Ayom Yom on Chaf Zayin Av, and it says it's the Hayom Yom for the Shabbos Varchim, and it says Shabbos Varchim day for bringing, and it says when a businessman wants to be profitable in his business, every so often they have to make a stock take and see what's going well. That's what he says. This is the lashon, to see what's going well, and how to improve that, and see what's lacking, and how can we fix that. Exactly.
First things first.
Explain. Yeah, what's going well? It's such an important and it's Hayom Yom. So unfortunately, a lot of people grow up in learning chassidus or whatever, and they have this like thing that like bittul means I'm a nobody, I'm not good. The more I think I'm a low person, I'm not good, the more bittul I have, and the more kol I am. But it's nothing to do with bittul. That's not bittul. That's just whatever negative self-talk. But I know because I was one of those people. I had that thought, and it took me many years to figure that out. So when I go to most crowds, I can just have this ring. And so I said to them, so it says you have to do cheshbon, you have to be honest with yourself. So honest is being able to say the positives. And the challenge is, and you guys can all do this yourselves. If you take a piece of paper and you write down all your milas and all your chesenis, all the positives and all the negatives, which one would have more? The milas? Yeah, take a selfie. We take a selfie before everyone goes? A selfie, you want to take a selfie? Yeah. Exactly. So we should taste it all good. And it could be also, I think also part of it is perspective. The last thing something that like changed me a lot when I started working in Aleph, so I'd hear a lot of people's stories. And the things you wouldn't imagine in America exist. For example, I spoke to a lady, she didn't have a bank account. She was in her 60s. She doesn't trust the banks. I don't understand how she did that. But it's just crazy. And then I spoke to another person who didn't have running water for 2 years in their house.
Why?
Why doesn't matter. It's crazy. But the point is, and then another person that he was living in what's the state north of California? Oregon. It's Oregon, Washington State. Yeah. It's cold in the winter, no? Yeah, it's like snowy. No? Not as cold as there. It was cold. It was whatever he lived was up there somewhere. It was very cold. I think it was in Poland. And he stayed in the garage. So in the winter, it was like deathly cold for him. He didn't have heating. He had like a little power heater in this garage. And you're like, you live in America? Yeah. And I think, and what it did for me is when I came home that winter and I had heating in my apartment, I was like, man, I am a lucky person. Running water, I'm lucky. And I think part of the perspective change, we shouldn't look at other people's stories because everyone's story has a string attached that we don't see. And I'm telling you, when you see it, you're like, it's not so bad. It's not so good. And also we're recognizing what we have. When I was newly married, I had this issue with like low self-esteem. So Michal got me to write it on a piece of paper. Your miles are chesronis. The miles I couldn't do. Like maybe one or two things. Chesronis, it's like a long list. But it wasn't even so like weird for me. Now I'm like whatever. Baruch Hashem, I've changed that. And I think this is very important. Even just a simple thing, recognizing like if we can't do that, if we look at ourselves in the mirror and it's hard, we've got to work on that. Like if Hashem is asking you to crown him as king, like he's not asking to, you can't be a person, it's a nobody. And he's asking, it's individual. One of the things the Rabbi says, the last thing the Rabbi says that the rabbis, pulpit rabbis, it was a michtav klali that he sent out for Rosh Hashana. It was the pulpit rabbis, they waste opportunity when they get a chance to speak and they talk about global issues. And the Rabbi says you should speak about simple little things like another mitzvah. And what's the Rebbe saying? If you analyze what the Rebbe is saying, who cares about global issues? When another year does mitzvah, when we sit there and we do one more mitzvah today, more than yesterday, that's Rosh Hashana. That's we achieved it. We think Rosh Hashana, I have to change my life around, I have to take a chot that I'm never going to keep. It's Rosh Hashana. It's a little things that could be so little that it's too embarrassed to tell anyone else. The only person I can tell is myself, right to the Rebbe. But I'll be embarrassed to tell anyone. That's the achlata we take in Rosh Hashanah, and we can do it. We just got to do it, but it's like we're too embarrassed to even talk about it. That we do. That's Rosh Hashanah, achieve greatness. That's what it is. I think we just got to, the going home message is appreciate the power of the day. It's like going to the Rebbe. It's intense, but I want to do it. My knees might shake. And I wish my knees would shake, but why am I shaking? Because I'm here. I'm in this awesome environment. And that's sort of what it's meant to be like. No, I'm scared. I'm going to get punished. You can also be scared and punished later. But firstly, I'm telling you, and also, one thing I realized, I was in the last story that I was with my father, and Baruch Hashem, I have a good relationship with him. Which again, this is one of the things that we think is not, what's a big deal? You have a good relationship. And then you realize, this is big, you shouldn't take these things for granted. And I haven't hung out with him for forever. Until I was mature enough, 20 years since it happened, really. Whatever, not 20 years. It's been a long time. And so we went to one of the stores here. Hamefitz. My father went to get a new talis. Crown Heights, buy a talis cheaper than Australia. And we're hanging out, talking. So as he was finishing up, I went around the store to go get something. And I come, and then when my father finished, we walk out and he goes, father goes, I want to tell you something. I'm like, yeah, what up? What happened? And he gets all emotional. I'm like, what happened? So he goes, the guy in the store, as we were finishing, he goes, can I tell you a secret? Father's like, oh, what? You want to sell me something? Or what? So he goes, I can see you have a good relationship with your son. He goes, I see it goes both ways. He said, don't take it for granted. And I was like, whoa, for me, it was pretty cool. Because I know I have a relationship, but it made me realize that I do. I must realize something special. And I think our goal is to have that good relationship with Hashem. Focus less on the problems and more how do I build that relationship? How do I connect? Because that good relationship that I have with my father is infinitely greater with Hashem. But we have a hard time connecting with it. And we sit there and we say, I'm not good enough and I didn't do enough for me. Hashem doesn't even want to look at me. I can't even look at myself in the face. Hashem can. But it's totally not true. Like we say, tomorrow's a Yom Yom, everyone should check it. Make sure I'm not making this up. That the preciousness of a body by Hashem is Efshar l'shayr, says you can't imagine. Like the Hashem says, the love that Hashem has for us is like a parent that had a child in old age. Can you imagine what the simcha of a parent would have a child at old age? That's what Hashem has for us. Us with all our faults, with all our issues, all the reasons that we have in that negative list, Hashem knows them. He knows a lot more than you. Together, He loves us and He cares for us. And we should try to connect to that and have that appreciation. It's Hashem. Hashem will be an enjoyable, intense, positively intense experience. Hi.